We're going to welcome in our panel now, political editor for Breitbart News, Bradley Jaye. Bradley, great to see you again, along with correspondent for the Daily Signal, George Caldwell. Gentlemen, great to be with you both. So, George, I'm going to start with you. I want to first take a look at the L.A. mayor's race as Spencer Pratt. He is closing in on Karen Bass and has called her out for allegedly violating city election laws by appearing near voting centers, engaging in election engineering, that is, on her campaign social media accounts, writing this on X. Karen Bass just violated election law here. She is so accustomed to breaking the law with no accountability, she even filmed herself doing this. So, George, what do you make of all of this?
Well, Pratt's in an interesting position. He's obviously in an extremely liberal city. He's facing off against a longtime Democratic politician who was in the running to be Joe Biden's vice president. And on the other hand, there's also Nithya Raman, who's more Democratic Socialist aligned. So what he needs to do here is tap into sort of some of the frustrations of Angelenos across the city with their leadership. And what he seems to be doing is sort of trying to touch on a certain hypocrisy here and a certain indifference about the law. We'll see if it works for him, but he's certainly following sort of a Trump-style anti-establishment playbook.
Yeah, and Bradley, Governor Gavin Newsom announcing yesterday that he signed a bill making it illegal to interfere with election equipment, and of course had to add a dig at President Trump. Of course he had to do that, writing as Trump and MAGA assault democracy. We're not sitting idly by. We're safeguarding California's election. Okay, Bradley, hasn't California been accused of election fraud in the past? And the easiest way to prevent this from happening is to make voter ID mandatory. But of course, as you know, Democrats, they really refuse to implement this.
Of course, Democrats refuse it because they welcome election fraud. But look, this isn't a serious effort. This effort from Governor Newsom, just like everything else that he does, just like everything that Democrats in Washington and in these state capitals across the nation are doing, is designed to show resistance to Trump. For 10 years now, this has been the only playbook that Democrats have, resistance to Trump. The American people are tired of this. And for too long, the Democrats have failed to come to terms with this. They got a slight reprieve during the Biden era, but there's a civil war brewing inside the Democrat Party. At some point, the radical left that has increasingly gained hold with this party, partly due to radical levels of immigration that we've seen, but they are now driving the party. So Democrats in 2028, what are they going to do? What are their policies going to be? Donald Trump won't be on the ballot. So this is really pathetic from Newsom and just another showcase of the dearth of ideas that they're suffering right now.
Yeah, guys, I want to talk about the primary results in Texas the other day and really all the craziness of Democrat nominee James Talarico and a series of quotes that have come back really to haunt him during his campaign. CBS pressed him about his God is non-binary line. And here's what Talarico had to say. Listen to this one.
In a speech during debate over transgender issues, you said God is non-binary. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think I was being intentionally provocative with that statement. There are some statements that I've made that I certainly regret. There are statements that I've made where I've missed the mark. I'll be the first to admit that. But Ken Paxton is intentionally clipping my cringy comments to distract from his career of corruption.
All right, well, at least he admitted the comments were cringy. So, I mean, I'm going to give him that, George. But yeah, how could somebody take him out of context, when he was recorded saying such things? And how do you think this is going to shape up between Paxton and Talarico?
Well, I think Talarico's response shows that he understands Texas is not a swing state. It's not a 50-50 state. President Donald Trump won it by nearly 14 points in 2024. So he's got to get past this stage of having to defend all of these past comments. Some of them might be taken out of context slightly, but he's going to have a tough time if he's trying to defend his sort of past record on sort of immigration, on social issues. And he's going to have a tough time if he's held to task on that. Now, all Ken Paxton has to do is hold on to part of Trump's coalition from 2024, where Republicans made major gains with Hispanics, for example. So this will be a tough race for Talarico. Obviously, he's taking aim at Mr. Paxton over certain past scandals involving his impeachment trial in the Texas House, for example. But it'll be an interesting race. I think Republicans have home field advantage, though.
Yeah, and it's not just Talarico's comments, Bradley. President Trump also called him out on social media over some other things. He wrote this on X. He said, this week on crime, open borders Democrat can never be allowed to represent the great people of Texas. His values are the exact opposite. So, Bradley, let's talk a little bit more about that and how Paxton can really highlight the danger, how dangerous Talarico really would be for Texans.
Yeah, I don't think that Talarico is going to win in Texas, regardless of who he's up against. I think the story to watch, the Republicans, primarily in Washington, but also in Austin, did so much damage propping up John Cornyn, who I don't think ever had a serious chance, absent a Trump endorsement, of winning that race. But they spent well over $100 million attacking who is now their nominee and who many of us projected to be the nominee all along. What is the NRSC, the Senate Republicans campaign arm? What are John Thune and these other Republican senators? Are they going to step up and send in the cavalry to undo some of their damage? From what we've seen so far, they haven't. There's no question that I think there's at least a handful of Republican senators who would rather see Talarico join that august body than someone like Ken Paxton, who isn't going to go along and doesn't want to just be a member of that go along to get along status quo, good old boys club that is the United States Senate. So if Republicans will actually unite around Ken Paxton, I don't think there's any doubt that he'll win by at least mid, maybe even high single digits. I mean, we've heard for how many decades now that Texas is going to turn blue, and it just hadn't happened. I don't think it's going to happen this year either.